Hello everybody, my name is Andrea Baresi and I'm the founder of Estetica Studio, a rendering company based in Barcelona. It is a great pleasure to be here with you today to share my experience and have the possibility to present our work to this big community. So a special thanks to Chaos for organizing this event and for taking us into consideration. It is really a great honor for me and for my small studio to be part of this show. So maybe some of you have already heard of us. We've been already almost 5 years in this industry, and this year we got the CG Award for the Best Commissioned Image for this project by Snohetta. It is an architectural firm based in Oslo, in Norway, which designed this fantastic platform in a fjord, in the middle of a fjord in Norway. So the project was already beautiful and did more than half of the job, but it was really fantastic to work on this project. But what is interesting is that this image is the result of a long and continuous process of research, and mostly a kind of a state of mind that we have here in Estetica. And today I would like to show you some of the principles that led us to this image. So before that, so how have we ended up there? Like how did we get to that image? I don't really want to do like a once upon a time presentation when I was a kid making drawings, but I just want to give you a little bit of background of where I'm coming from and how do I consider architectural visualization. So I started to work as a 3D artist at 3XN in Copenhagen, in Denmark. I was an internal 3D artist, and I really had this struggle of delivering the work that I was asked to do on a day-to-day basis by the different architects team, so a lot of pressure. But at the same time, my struggle was to find always in every image some kind of nice, interesting moments, and then became some special moments, and then became a research for an atmosphere, for an artistic feeling, and some kind of atmospheric magic in every single shot. So little by little I started to look for that feeling in every image I was doing. Maybe sometimes it was a detail, maybe sometimes it was other parts of the composition, maybe sometimes it was the whole image, and yeah, I was happy about it. I was really, at some point, this is an image of 2015, 2016, I guess. So I kind of liked the work I was doing, but there was never really time for that artistic research. There was never time to look for alternatives and find different options and investigate and exploring. So yeah, I was happy, but was that my best image? Was that really all I could do? Maybe it was, maybe not, maybe not. So I need more. That's when I realized I really need more to express myself. So that's when I decided to move to Barcelona and to found Estetica Studio. This is back in 2017, where I only had the laptop and a lot of ideas in my mind. And then luckily things evolved, and then now we are a group of 4 people, actually 5. One we don't have the picture yet, and we work with all the most important architecture firms in Europe, which they're not like super big companies, but the companies we work with understand our process and our research and our struggle. So in every work we try to follow our principles, and these principles are these 2, like photo artistic and iconic. That's how an image should be for us. What do we mean by photo artistic? When we say, I kind of invented this word, and I think it's we have this goal to represent the architecture to a super realistic and detailed setting, like a real world setting, like super realistic textures, super realistic photography and scans and everything that makes the image looks convincing, but at the same time this image has to be like pervaded by magical and outstanding, like unreal elements. So like grasping the attention of the viewer by with through the realistic elements, and then once you have the attention, then bring them to this magical world. And that's what is kind of visible here, that we have a lot of pictures to simulate this forest, pictures, 3D models, scans and everything, but then, so it is real, but it's not really like, it is not really a realistic image in the end of the day, I would say, but it has something of real and unreal component which we really like. And also for example here, yes, there are some human and recognizable elements, but in the end the atmosphere, there's something that is kind of this atmosphere that makes it feel like it doesn't really exist. So yeah, this is another shot with this intent of putting like realistic element and unrealistic atmospheres. And on the other side, we always try to go for iconic shots. So there are some shots that are immediately recognizable by the viewer. So we usually do these tiny drafts to check if this image is working in terms of lighting, composition and colors. Or when an image is iconic, when it's super recognizable, when it represents an idea, like in this case it was like a museum in the forest, so there was this forest of columns, and this was really the concept of this project. So the iconic image had to represent this project without showing everything. It just had to show the important thing. Anyway, it was this project actually, yeah. And yeah, iconic when it evokes a feeling, of course. So every time we try to evoke some feeling, like in this is the platform project by Snohetta, and we were following this feeling of this late summer, end of the day, low sun, a bit melancholic, when everything is about to end, the day is about to end, the summer is about to end. So we always like to get away with the images that we work on. And then of course the story. Why don't you tell me a story? We're always asked to tell a story from the clients. So, but our research is more like into translating this story into something a bit more subtle and to suggest unexpected situations. Like if you have an atrium view of a school, then maybe it's a big mess and it can be, like in this case with the paper flying, paper planes flying. It was really a fun view to work on, and I remember the jury here, eventually they won the competition, reminded this image as the paper planes once. So it's also important to get the right story and make it recognizable. In this case, the story was the match of super difficult. This image was extremely difficult because we really wanted to tell a story of the new stadium from the level of the field, so we had to find the right story, the right picture of the right team with the right lighting. So it was a lot of struggle in finding the high resolution picture with the perfect lighting, but that was the result, and it's quite powerful. And also in this case, the story was important because it was the story of a representation, like in a theater. It was a project in Norway, always by Snohetta, this black box theater, and the jury was also the theater company. So we placed in the middle of the image a performance of the theater company that was in the jury. So it was kind of blinking the eye, say, okay guys, we know you. So yes, the story is super important. But what I wanted to say with this presentation is that we never settled, and that's what I think is the most important thing for this job. Like, you always have to consider that your next image is the best one, and never look back and be happy with what you've done. Yes, you can be happy, but you also need some push to continue walking forward. So how do we get to the best image if the best image is the next one? Well, with sketches, probably. We do so many sketches, and I would like to share with you a few examples today, just to kind of communicate our struggle every time we start a project. So you remember this image from before, and the chair is falling apart. Yeah, this image was the museum in the forest. So before, how did we get there? Well, this was the first draft, kind of flat. We didn't really understand what was going on, and nothing was happening. But there was probably some kind of something interesting. Then I started to go around and see, okay, but this is a forest of column, but maybe from inside could be nice. They didn't have usually architects, when they come to us, don't have any idea of what they want. So we really have to go around and propose alternatives. Like this one is where we started to say, okay, but this transition with columns can be a good starting point, but it was a bit flat. So maybe with some fog, or maybe with some more atmosphere, maybe it could work. But we got that this forest of columns had to be portrayed like in this way. So we said, okay, maybe the light in a forest usually filters through the trees, so this could be really a good one. Maybe maybe it has to be brighter, so with more light coming in, and then finally we got there. So yeah, from here, then little by little you can see that this struggle continues until, like, we sketch until we find the right one, which eventually turns to the final image. And yeah, I also wanted to share with you just for a second the draft that we did for this project, just to show you our research. We had to do just 2 images, and eventually that turned out with 5 or 6. So we always do this study, preparing all the 3D file for the drafts, explaining every draft that we do, why we do it, because there is really like an artistic struggle and research behind every single shot. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. We end up super tired every time. But in every image, there is always an intention of showing the project in a completely different way. This was the draft, of course, of the image of the CG award, and trying to capture different atmospheres every time with photos, with 3D. There's no distinction. So yes, this is more focusing on the building, going around, some close-up, going far away, with different alternatives of lighting, atmospheres, then that leads to different stories as well. So yes, I don't know how many, there are so many. This was the fjord one, this was the one that eventually became that one, then this one was kind of the guy running the getaway in between this curved wall, then another round of drafts. So as you can see, we really we're never happy with what we do. So, and this forces us to continue and to find different options and angles until we find the one that we really like. So yes, this was like the result and this was the final result of that image. As you can see, it's not like a perfect image at all, because these guys are flying. Nobody realized in the CG architect jury, or maybe they did, I don't know. And yeah, so it is this big mistake, but we like mistakes. So yes, anyway, as I said, your next image is the best one. Maybe next time we don't do that mistake again. Thank you very much for your time and for being here today with me. So I hope to hear from you soon. Ciao, ciao.